Hello and welcome to Under the Surface, pumped by Reebok. I'm your host, Annalie Maley, and today we have Maddy Prespakis, the AFLW superstar, joining us. Thanks for coming on, Mads.
No worries, Annalie.
We were just talking before how everyone pronounces my name wrong, but she's actually got a sister with the same name.
Yeah, before coming in here today, I actually said to my twin sister, I'm actually speaking to another Annalie today. So a bit weird. I haven't actually met another Annalie, so it's great to meet you.
6 degrees of separation. Look at us go. So the AFLW season starts September 1st. That's actually my birthday. Fun fact. Anyway, so you're in pre-season right now, yeah?
Yeah.
So what does your day-to-day kind of look like in this pre-season space?
Yeah, so it's pretty busy at the moment. Like, I feel like you jam a lot of things into one. But for us, like, our schedules change completely. We train pretty much most day sessions now instead of night sessions, which I love the most because you can get home and actually enjoy the night. So we're in the club Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturdays. And then you go into the club on a Wednesday for like a few extras if you want to. So most of the days are at the club, and then once we start playing, we'll obviously take away that Saturday training session and start playing on the weekend. So I'm pretty excited for that. Feel like we've been in pre-season for so long now, and if anything, we've been in pre-season since the end of last season. Like, you've always got to keep doing something, and with the only having 10 games, like, you kind of have to keep moving as much as possible, but also be wary not to burn yourself out. So yeah, I've had a good break, but then probably the last few months has just been full on training and getting back to the best.
Yeah. So the off season, do most of the girls, do they play in the off season as well? Like, do you play in the off season?
Nah, I haven't played since the end of October last year. Okay. So I'm raring to go. Like, I'm feeling pretty excited. We had an inter-club match on the weekend, and didn't want it to end. Like, it felt nice to be back out there playing football and kind of having the end goal in a way rather than just running in a straight line continuously for a couple hours a day. But a couple of girls do play in the off season. Like, we have our VFL season, but with the point system, you can't have your whole side just go and play on the weekend in the VFL. So girls that probably didn't get selected as many times throughout the season will have a run through the VFL, more of a like development thing. But yeah, I got involved with the VFL in our off season and got to a few trainings and try to help the girls that I play with in our AFLW team as much as possible. Just keep my mind fresh, but also keep it busy with footy as well. And I felt the reward from that, keeping in touch with football. And then once we started again, day one of pre-season, felt ready to go.
I totally get that because we don't really have an off season either. We go year round. So I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I'd love a break. And then other times I'm like, I reckon I get bored as a.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Basketball doesn't stop.
No.
Because watch the WNBL season and then it's straight into NBL 1. Yeah. And I'm just like, you just don't get a break.
No, we really don't. I do complain about it a lot, but then also I'd be so bored. I really would. So on your off days at the moment, what are your off days downtime look like for you? Like, what are your outside of sport hobbies kind of?
For me, I have my little dog Bam Bam. So
nice.
I'm always with him. He keeps me busy.
No, that's okay.
Anyway, I love him. So I spend most of my off days with him. I probably catch up with a lot of friends. I do boxing on my off days. So just a bit of extra stuff. But for me, I've got into Matildas a lot lately. Yeah. So I absolutely love them since I watched them play Melbourne 12 months ago. I fell in love with kind of soccer, not wanting to play it, but just the whole idea of women's sport, like watching the Aussie Diamonds the other day. So
awesome.
Trying to get around to as much sports as I can. So I've been going to Sydney to watch and hopefully going to Brisbane this weekend. But for me, off days is just to myself, either with friends, with myself, with my dog. Or listening to a lot of music.
Yeah.
I do like music, and I keep saying I want to learn to DJ kind of thing, not professionally, but just a hobby. So hopefully one day get into that.
I'd feel sorry for your neighbours when you finally learn to do that. You come home from training and you just get on the decks and just start,
Yeah, I brought like this big JBL party box speaker, and I just thought it'd be so nice to have in the lounge room, and it is. It's really nice until you walk outside and put something in the bin and you're like, oh my God, the house is pumping. So it's at the footy club now, the speaker, and it'll stay there till the end of season and just leave it in the club rooms and there's no neighbours there, so no one can complain. But I do feel sorry for them sometimes because when I bring it home, it's pretty loud. So
it's almost like you need to send a warning, like the speaker's coming back next week. Just be wary.
I've actually got to let them know probably because I don't reckon there's ever any other music in my street. I live in a very quiet street, so there's only one house the music comes from really, and I'm like, oh no.
You can't pretend it's not you.
Yeah.
What type of music? Is it all like the hardcore doof stuff, or what do you vibe out to?
Or doof. Yeah, I do like that, but I just like anything. Like I like country music. I like R&B music. I like hip hop. Like I like everything. I love Drake. Like all that stuff. I just love any music, but yeah, if it was to learn to mix, obviously it'd be like a doof
the hardcore stuff.
And, just make like long playlists and things like that. But at the moment, I'm on SoundCloud a lot, and most of it is pretty much all the mix and doof music. So,
is there an actual term for that? I'm just saying doof, but like what?
Like techno.
Okay.
Yeah.
EDM. Like what do we? Okay.
But doof sounds cool.
Yeah, it sounds
kind of cool.
I feel like everyone would understand if we said doof. They can hear it in their heads. Like doof.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it sounds like. So
yeah. My first question is, what type of dog do you have?
I have an English Staffy.
So little?
Yeah, little. Pretty much. Everyone always says, like, I don't know. All my friends just go, your dog looks exactly like you. And I'm like, what?
Can we overlay a picture of them two together, please? Thank you.
And it's just like a short, stocky dog. And they're like, if you're a dog, you'd be Bam Bam. And I'm like, all right, fair enough. Like, he's kind of cute and he's cute. So
do you play footy like Bam Bam runs around too? Is that like
Well, I hope so because he moves pretty well. Yeah. So, but yeah, I have an English Staffy. Bam Bam is 2 years old and pretty much spend most of my days with him.
I also have a dog, and I think that having an animal during season is like the best thing ever because it like takes your brain away from like, I don't know, sometimes you come home from a game and you're like, you might feel a bit like but then you see the dog and it's like, oh.
I feel like they just remind you, like, don't take life so seriously.
Yeah, 100%.
Because when you take him out for a walk or something, they just watch him run around. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, but it's just like, just don't take life seriously.
Yeah.
Even when you come home from, a training or a game and maybe wasn't your best or whatever.
Yeah.
They make you feel really nice and they make you feel okay and they don't say anything, but just having them there.
Yeah. I say it's like the best sounding board because they don't need to say anything because I'm not sure I'd like to hear their opinion either. I don't want them to disagree with what I'm saying, you know, like just let me speak my truth and you just come give me cuddles. Like that's how it should be.
Or if I leave the house during the day and then they just kind of look at you leaving, like I'm like, I don't want to know what you're probably thinking right now. But I remember the first time I left him for a period of time. I went to Thailand for 3 weeks in the off season, and I just remember my sister dropping me at the airport, and I was just cuddling him and crying, and I was like, oh no, this is the worst day of my life. And then when I got home, he was still friendly to me, so that was good.
They still give you side eye. Like, I know you've been somewhere without me.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to wind it back because I want to ask about like you as a kid. Like what type of young child were you? Like who was Maddy as a kid? Like how would your parents describe you, I guess?
Mum and dad described me as a baby Maddy, as a sook. Apparently my twin sister was an angel and I was the loud one, the sook, and just wouldn't sit still. Yeah. And then once I started playing footy at a younger age when obviously I could run around and stuff, I just was footy obsessed. Yeah. I played basketball as well. But I wasn't nowhere near as good as you guys. But I played basketball growing up.
Who'd you play for?
Sunbury Jets.
Hey, yeah, there we go. Them? Yeah, I know the Sunbury Jets.
So I played there up until I was probably 16, 17. And then obviously made the decision to going into my draft year that it was just going to be footy, and I probably knew basketball wasn't going to be a long career for me. So little Maddy was, I don't know, I felt like I was always up to mischief, like not in like a bad way, but I was always running around with the boys at school or outside of school and riding my bike around town and going to the skate park and just being like kind of a little punk back in the day.
A little punk.
And I think with me, I was always either at the football club, the basketball centre, or I was playing with my mates at my house. And mum and dad would always get home and there'd just be heaps of kids at the house. Like it was just how it was. And I had an awesome childhood. I grew up pretty active and always something going on in my life. And obviously I have a twin sister and a little sister and another brother. So there was always something they were doing and always something I was doing. So, yeah, I had an awesome childhood and I was a very active kid and, I've kept out of mischief as I've got older, I think.
Nah, doubtful. Doubt it. We just get better at hiding it. So when you first started playing footy at the local footy club, or if it was at school, was it still mixed, or were you guys was there a women's junior comp then?
No, I was actually the only girl at the footy club I grew up at. So I grew up in Romsey, Victoria, and I played for the Romsey Redbacks. And I just remember there was a thing, a sign at school, come and try Auskick. So Mum and Dad decked me out head to toe in Essendon colours. And, I just went and played Auskick. I was the only girl. Didn't care. There was free pies, free hot dogs and free food every Friday night. So it sold me pretty quickly. And then I thought, footy's actually really cool. Yeah. Played it every day at school and then joined the local footy team. And, it was mixed, but I was the only girl in the team. And then when my sister joined footy a couple of years later, we were the only two girls at the club. And it kind of started bringing a few more girls to the club, but there wasn't enough to make our own team or anything like that. But for me, looking back, I probably didn't regret playing with the boys. I feel like it put me in good stead to where I am today. It just showed that I was treated no differently. I reckon I had rivals from so many other clubs that, if I versed them, they just wanted to tackle me as hard as they could. And it just showed that I was no different to them. And when I stopped playing with the boys at 14, when the age, you have to stop, I didn't really know what to do because I'd been in a team full of 30 boys, and then I found a girls' club, but I'd never played with other girls before, even one other girl in my team. And I was just like, oh my God, how am I going to go from playing
how do we
30
do
boys
this?
to 30 girls? I didn't know what it would look like. And once I got into the program of just a local footy and then TAC Cup, which is now NAB League, and then Vic Metro, and once I got through all the talent programs, I was like, oh my God, there's actually a pathway for girls. And then it started opening up when they had a vision of AFLW and straight away I remember when I got brought forward 3 years early to 2017. I was actually driving to a Friday night basketball game and I was kind of shattered because I missed the first game of the season and I just wanted to go watch it because some of my friends were playing in it. And I remember I was live streaming it on the way to the basketball game and kind of got to the basketball game and all my teammates were like, oh my God, there's a first game of AFLW tonight. Aren't you so excited? That'll be you one day. And I was just like, that's what I want to do. And straight after that, I just thought, my God, I can't believe from a 4-year-old me to being the only girl in the association to now there's 18 teams in the AFLW. It's pretty crazy to look at now, but I've loved my journey and I have no regret from where I've started to where I am now.
The adversity that you probably didn't even realize at the time as a young kid, you don't realize that you're playing with 30 boys. You're just I'm playing footy, so being able to kind of go through that and then realize that kind of set you up for where you are now. It's pretty dope. It really is. And I think that, I've said this to a few people, but being able to say that you were one of the first, now, how good does it feel to you drive around on a Sunday anywhere and there's you got the boys games going on and you got the girls games going on and there's just so many females and kids involved in local footy now when it wasn't really that big of a thing beforehand. Do you get a chance to go back to that club? Have you been back since?
Yeah, well, my brother we moved to Sunbury, obviously, after I finished playing with the boys, and my brother plays for a local club out in Diggers Rest near Sunbury, and they actually versed Romsey, our old club, a few weeks ago, and I went back there, and, it's just so funny, walking around and the same president's still there, the people in the canteen are still there, it's just... it's pretty nuts, but it always feels good to go home. It's so cliche to say, but when you go back there and everyone still just sees you as the 5-year-old girl that used to run around in their jersey, it's pretty special. And, every time I go there, I always catch up with as many people as I can, drive past my old house. And, it just feels like home. And I know that if I have the opportunity to get back there every so often on the Sunday, I definitely will. And they've just had their first season with the women's team. And to think that it's gone from me and my sister and a couple of other girls coming through the program, growing up, to having a whole women's team. Like, it's pretty awesome to look at. And I know some of the girls that I went to school with joined up and started playing footy, just because, like, it's a bit of fun. And it was pretty special. Like, I got to go watch their first women's game, and I love getting back down there as much as possible. It's pretty freezing down there though, but I do love it, and it's good to go home.
Do you remember a point in, like, say, like, your career leading up to when you played your first professional game, I guess, so like your younger career, where you didn't really see a pathway and you were like, where do I go? And do you remember that moment, or did that really happen, or were you always kind of had the faith like, no, something's going to happen?
Yeah, I think there was times when probably when I was playing with the boys, that I was like, I never shied away from the fact that I wanted to play AFL. Like, there wasn't an AFLW, but I still always said to my school teachers and the boys that I was playing with that I'm going to do exactly what they're striving to do. And I remember I was trying out for like an interleague team with the boys, and I'd get to the end and then they just wouldn't pick me. Yeah. And I just thought, is it because I'm a girl? But I would never get the reasoning from it. And then I was like, but if I'm not good enough, that's fair enough. But I was always like getting to the very end and not being picked. It almost felt like, no, it's because you're a girl. And then that's probably when I was just like, oh my God, like, I don't know, like, where do we go? Where do I go from here? But I still never shied away from the fact, like, as soon as I started playing girls footy, even like with the girls, like, I still knew there was going to be something. And whether it was in the VFL or continuing to play local footy kind of for the rest of my life, like, I was pretty comfortable with that, but I wanted to try and get the best out of myself at the highest level. And it definitely wasn't going to happen for me at basketball. And I just knew that football was the pathway I wanted to take. So I was just going to keep working at it, whether it was going to be in 2020, the AFLW was going to come in, or 2017 when it did. I always knew that that's where I was going to go. Do you remember, like, when you got the call or the message where it was like, holy crap, I'm going to play AFL? Talk me through that. Yeah. Like my draft day? Yeah, draft day. Yeah, so I just finished school, like, and we're heading into exams, and I didn't really have any interest in my exams at all. Obviously. I was just like, oh my God, like, the draft's going to happen. Like, this is my year. And there'd already been 2 seasons of AFLW. Yeah. And sitting on the sideline watching it, I was just like, oh my God, like, I'm jealous. But then leading into my draft year, you start having the conversations with footy clubs, and that itself is pretty exciting, because you're like, oh my God, like, these clubs want me, and hearing what they have to say is pretty nice. But it kind of came to draft day, like just before draft day, where we have to nominate where you want to go. So not a team you want to go to, but if you want to go interstate, stay in Victoria. And at that stage, Geelong was an expansion side, and I had the opportunity to go to Geelong with pick 1 or stay in Melbourne in the Metro draft pool and go to Carlton with pick 3. And for me, I'm love my family and I love being at home. I don't live at home now, but at that stage, like finishing school, moving out of home probably wasn't on the radar for me. Not yet, I'd met with Geelong a couple of times and went down there and had a look, but to move even an hour and a half down the freeway probably wasn't. Yeah, you're like, didn't sit right for me. And then I just, once I kind of nominated the Metro draft pool, I kind of knew Carlton were potentially going to pick me on draft day. And once your name gets called out, it's a very special feeling. Like, it's probably a feeling you won't really get again in your life. Like, I know that I would love to go back to that day every single day. And they gave me the opportunity to live out the 4-year-old Maddy dream. So it wasn't in the red and black at the time, but it was in an AFLW jumper, and that's all I really cared about. And Carlton gave me that opportunity, and I got to spend 4 seasons there. So it's so dope. Like, so the high of that day, right? Like, so you've reached this, like, it would be kind of overwhelming in the best way, right? Like, you're like, this is what I've wanted, the dream, blah, blah. You go home that night and it all kind of hits you. And did you get a kind of like a low after that, or did you stay riding high from that day forward? No, I stayed pretty much riding high the whole time. Like, driving home straight after, you've got your phone's going off, like you've got people trying to call you, but all put all that aside, like I was just with mum and dad in the car and like they were crying, I was laughing, I was smiling, like I was just on an up the whole time. And then once I got into the football club and into the system, it kind of just felt like everything went from there. Yeah. And then fast forward a couple of years after that, that's probably when I hit a point when I was like, oh my God, like started coming down a little bit from that hype, and then having to find that kind of balance in between the last couple of years.
So talk to me about the moment or moments when you were like, okay, all of a sudden, maybe it's not all of a sudden, but you started realizing that you were no longer operating at that like, everything's so exciting, this is the best all the time, blah, you know? Yeah. When did that kind of hit you, like whether it be like struggles of being like a female in sport, mental health issues, whatever it is, when did that hit you and like how, I guess?
Yeah, I think it was my first 2 seasons in the AFLW. Everything just happened really quickly for me. I debuted round 1 and then just kept playing every game since then. And then like I won the Rising Star the first year and then went on and won the Brownlow or the AFLW Best and Fairest the year after at the age of 19. So everything happened just very, very fast. And at that moment in time, I was like, oh, my God, this is crazy. Like I soaked it all in. I was very like grateful. But then I was also like, what else is there for me to do? Yeah. And I was pretty comfortable in the position I was. I had all my best mates around me playing footy. I was having fun at the club, but I wasn't pushing Maddy to get better. Like after that moment, like everyone wants to chase you. Yeah. Everyone, you've got a target on your back. And I didn't know how to deal with that at the time really well at all. I probably didn't physically prepare myself well for the upcoming season after the winning the Best and Fairest. And then I mentally didn't prepare either. I had a target on my back that season and I just kind of fell into a hole. I let it get the best of me. I had probably my career worst season. Went from kind of being number 1 to not even being recognised in the top whatever. So for me, I didn't know how to deal with that, and I'm still finding ways to deal with it. Like for sure. I'm only 22. Like I've got a life, like
you've got
hopefully
so
a decade
much
left
time
of footy ahead of me. But for me, it just happened really quickly, and I didn't branch out and lean on those around me. But I probably didn't find a balance in my life. Like everything was #footy's life. Like, like all that stuff, and that was the mindset I had. But then once that happened, it was just, well, what else can I achieve? And I was pretty settled on that's what I've achieved, and I was happy with that. But now I'm like, nah, I want to be better every single day. Like,
refocus.
I want to be the best all the time. Not all the time, but if I'm at my best, then I'm bringing others along with me for the ride. And like we want to be a finals team at Essendon. Like we want to win flags, and that's what I want to do. I haven't won a flag yet, and that's my biggest achievement that I want to win. Like I've played in the grand final, but we've lost. And I think since moving over to Essendon, like after my 3rd and 4th season at Carlton, I still didn't get to quite that best because I was still comfortable in the environment I was in, and I wasn't pushing myself to be better. So when it came to the decision of trading to Essendon, I just had to make the selfish decision in myself. Like it was either stay at the club and probably not push myself to get better because I'm so comfortable, or put myself in an uncomfortable position. Like I moved to Essendon, there was no other players on the list, no head coach. Like I didn't know what was around me, but I think that was so exciting because it was like I barracked for Essendon. I've got in a new environment, I've got to earn the respect of so many new people. And we're a new team, so all eyes are on us. And that excited me, like to help build a club from not the bottom up, but
but the start of it.
I worked as hard as I could in the off season, and then I got the reward for it in the season just gone. So I've seen the reward, and like I know in myself that it's happened before, but you gotta like the rent's due every day kind of thing, and that's the mindset like I've just tried to have. Like everyone is chasing you, like everyone wants to be the best they can, and like there's so many younger players that are coming through now. Not that I'm like old or anything, but it's like,
I mean, you're in your 6th season.
6th season,
You're not old, but like your experience.
And they're going to push for your spot. Like, and that's what I think. Like, there's people behind me that want to push me out the way so then they can be there. And that's exciting. Like, I love the whole pressure of that. And that's something that I've had to learn over the last couple of years because of everything happened so fast. And I definitely don't take it for granted. Like, it was an exciting period, but now I feel like I'm in a better position to be able to deal with all that pressure. And I think when I'm happy and when I'm playing well, it's because I'm enjoying myself. And you get that reward because you know you've worked hard.
Exactly.
And that's probably something I struggled with the last couple of years up until now.
So that kind of like post you winning like best and fairest, right? So that's like, you know, that's like the peak of a lot of people's career. Like that's like the biggest thing that they can do other than winning a championship. Like those are some of the biggest achievements. Like I know that when I won MVP the next year, I felt like a lot of like self-doubt. Like, oh, if I don't perform as well as I did last year, then it's like, maybe that was a mistake. Did you ever experience any of that kind of self-doubt in that space?
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of ways it's so normal, but it's also like, like if you don't perform up to the standard you performed the season before, it's literally, that's how I think. I'm like, oh no, like people don't like watching me anymore, or they don't think I'm good enough. And that's literally just what runs through your head. Like I remember after that third season, the year after, when I just had a terrible season, I was just like, oh my God, like, who am I now? Like, it's just self-doubt, but it's also like only you can control what you can control. Like I've learnt that I don't really need to take opinions from people I don't know. Like you got to keep your bubble really small in that space.
For sure.
People want to be on the ride with you when everything's so amazing. And I felt that when everything happened so quickly for me, everyone wanted to be right behind me and you know, celebrate all the good things with me. But then when I probably hit like my lowest in the season after that, like no one kind of was you know, celebrating with me and no one was going to be there when I needed them most. And that's probably when you find out like a little bit more about yourself and the people around you. Like,
for sure.
It's a cruel world sport.
It really is.
I feel like it is. But I feel the self-doubt, like only myself and my inner circle I rely on with that. And I've done a lot of work in that space for sure. Yeah,
I had a coach once tell me that like the riding the highs and then hitting your low point, you have to push that low point so low and then you can get higher. Yeah. So it's like it works like a yo-yo. So like the lower you get, and as long as you're able to bounce up from that, you will get higher than your previous high. Yeah. And I think that the idea of being able to grow and in that uncomfortable space, like what you said, moving to Essendon like that was like you're pushing yourself into an uncomfortable space, but that's where all the growth happens, right? Like that's where all of these amazing things that you're then going to be a part of building this like awesome culture, and you get to be a part of something that's just started. And it's pretty cool because like you've been able to grow in a space that A, was super uncomfortable, and B, like you've come out of this area where you did kind of hit a low, and now it's crazy to think that you're only 22, by the way. Like I when I read sixth season, I was like, you're not old. But you played 6 seasons. Yeah. You're not old. But like it's pretty exciting to hear that you still have that kind of like drive, I guess, in your voice of things that you still want to achieve. And I like that kind of thought of like the bubble, keeping that close, because then you always know who you can rely on. Like people do love, it's like tall poppy syndrome. They love to support you, but they also love to cut you down. Yeah. And it does make sport exciting, but it's also really hard to deal with when you're like I'm 24 and it's hard to deal with. So like I imagine like being a 19-year-old, that would have been kind of terrifying.
Jeez, we're both only young over
here. I know. God. I know. Like I'm going into my 5th season, but like I still feel like you'll be in your like 8th. That's wild. Anyway, I digress. So could you think of something that you know now that if you could go back and tell, you know, younger Maddy post winning the best and fairest, what advice would you give to your past self in that situation?
Oh, I would probably go back and probably do a lot more work in the mental health side of things. Like I just thought because everything was so good, like I didn't put enough time into my mental health. Like I didn't accept my emotions after either a not so great game or whatever, like, or if I read something in the media about myself, like I didn't think anything of it at the time, where now I'd look back and say, like, you got to do a lot of work in that space, because like if you perform physically great, it's probably because you're mentally performing well. And I feel like we've done a lot of work at Essendon in headspace and stuff, and you can be the best talented team on paper, but if you're not mentally the best team performing on the day, you're not going to beat those around you. And we want to be the best mental kind of team in the competition, like, because the footy's hard, like sport's hard, like, and you can physically have the best team on paper, but if no one's on the same page when it comes to the mental health side of things, like, you're probably going to underperform because you don't know how to deal with each other's emotions. And I feel like we've done a lot of space in that, because, like, it's so important. Like, if someone's flat, like, you can't perform to your best, and you can see it, and you got to try and work ways around that. So, for me, it'd be a lot to do with mental health. Like, I still have a lot of work to do in that space, and especially when it comes to sport and performance and things like that, because I'm like a dweller. So if I play like a not so great game, I'll dwell on it for not 1 or 2 days. It'll be 3 or 4 days. And then by that stage, like, you're coming up to your next game and there's no time to dwell on it. So it would be, back then, it'd be learning how to get over that dwellings phase, because you can have a shitty game and that's fine. That's normal. Like, God, we're only human.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not dwelling on it for 3 or 4 days. It's like, once it's done, nip it in the butt, do your review, and then on to the next. So, I wish I probably did more work with my mental health performance a couple of years ago.
Were those resources available for you always? Like, the AFLW clubs have usually been pretty good with providing that type of stuff?
Yeah, they've been pretty good. Like, we've got the AFLPA, which you can go through and see psychs through them and things like that. And for me, like, I'd probably speak to somebody, but I wouldn't
get fully vulnerable.
I wouldn't get vulnerable as I do now. Like I probably cry or whatever more now than I did then, just because I was like, I had that thing of, no, you don't know me. Like, I don't really want to, like, speak to you about how I'm feeling when I'm playing football or things like that. And now I appreciate it so much more, actually speaking about how I feel, because it's so important, and it just makes you feel so much better. So when I go out onto the field after I've just had a conversation with my psych or something, I just feel free and, like, feel happy, and then that's when you're going to play your best. Yeah, no, for sure. I think that, I mean, we're all guilty of going to a psych and not telling them everything, because we're like, I don't know you. Yeah. And, like, it took me a couple of times to open up as well. It really did. And sometimes when I went to a new psych, I was way more sheltered, like side eye, you know, like, I was like, I'm not going to tell you everything yet. But it is, like, it's such an important skill to be able to be open and vulnerable with people who that's their profession, and realizing, like, I mean, the way I put it in my brain, I'm like, they can help me the way that if I have a sore knee and I go to a physio, I wouldn't lie to them about the amount of pain I'm feeling unless I wanted to play that weekend. But I wouldn't lie to them about the pain in my knee. So why am I sitting across from this professional, like, lying to someone about the level of anxiety I get when something happens? I guess, would you, how do I phrase this question? If you were talking to, like, younger girls in sport, maybe they're about to go into the draft, maybe they're playing at their local footy club, how would you describe to them the benefits of seeing, like, a mental health professional for performance? Oh, it'd probably be the first. Like, if someone was like, what would you put most of your time into in football? Not that I still do put most of my time, but it was like, what extras would you add to your every, like, week to week kind of schedule in football? It'd be go speak to a sports psych once a week or once a fortnight. Just check in every now and then, whether it's like you go there and you actually, like, I've learned, whether you go in there and you say nothing, it's like they will always get something out of you, or you just feel better leaving the room. So I feel, especially people coming through the draft now, like, it's starting to get a bit more full on and more demanding, and you've got obviously work outside of football, and it's like you got so much going on in your life that you need to prioritize that half an hour, a week or a fortnight to actually speak about your feelings. When you just let everything bottle up, and I do it still, it just all blows up into one, and it feels like that's it. But I feel like it's so important, and I feel like people are starting to see the benefits of it, because when you feel a bit lighter in your head, you feel freer and you feel so much happier. Yeah,
for sure. And I think that like I can only speak from like the basketball perspective, but there is still a little bit of a stigma there in terms of like,
do you guys have like psychs at your club and stuff? Not
at the clubs that I've been at in the last couple of years. I know some clubs in the WNBL have that available. I know that the Players Association have that available. We had one of the Players Association psychs, David Stiff, on the other week, and he's brilliant. I see him as well. But in terms of like clubs providing that support, it's not as good as it needs to be.
Yeah.
I would say that like there is still a bit of a stigma about it, but it has gotten so much better. Do you feel that around footy, and like in terms of there being a stigma there, like, because I feel like there's a really great culture around footy. Like my experience with footy is obviously I go to AFLW games, I go to AFL games. My brother plays VFL for the Bull Ants, and he also plays local footy, and I love going. It's like my favorite thing ever to like go sit.
Do you barrack for a team?
Nah, not really. No. Everyone, sport's the winner.
Yeah.
Because like, go sport. Yeah. Sport's the winner. I could go watch anyone play and I'm like, this is best.
Yeah.
But the culture is like, it's mateship and it's all kind of having each other's backs. Is there a negative culture around mental health in footy, or is it kind of better in the women's side? Because I've only really seen up close and personal more of what my brother experiences.
Yeah, I feel I've always seen it like, it's not like that now, but a couple of years ago it probably was like, oh, you're speaking to a psych, there's something wrong with you. Like, and that's probably like what I thought about seeing a psych. I'm like, oh no, if I'm speaking to a psych, there is something wrong with me. And that's how I viewed it, because that's how people would speak about it. Like, you've got a mental health issue, like that's why you're speaking to a psych. And it's like, no, I don't. Like, it makes me feel just better. Like, and I feel like now it's just come a long way that it's so encouraging to be able to do it. And it's like, you speak to more than half of my team, and someone speaks to a psych a fortnight or something like that, just to help their performance, whether it's to do with work, their performance at work, or just every day-to-day life. And it's so important now. And I feel like, our clubs put a lot of effort into it. Like, we had someone come in and do a few sessions with us from Headspace, and you just see the benefits of it, where a couple of years ago, like, I saw the stigma of it. It was like, nah, if you speak to a psych, like, you got something wrong with you. And that's probably what turned me away from seeing one a couple of years ago. And it probably didn't put me in good stead for handling the pressure, because I just would put it on myself and would let myself deal with it. And probably expect my parents to deal with it as well. Like, they get the angry, they'd either get the angry or the sad version of me all the time. And it was when now it's just, I feel so happy, because you just feel so much better when you speak to someone. And it's so cliche to say, but it's like, even sometimes when you ring your mate and you just let something out, you feel awesome
lean on the people around you.
I feel like it's just so important now, and I think the AFL are doing a really good job of it. There's still a lot of work to do, like as there is with any other space when it's inclusiveness and equality and things like that. But it's definitely come a long way. It's definitely, you don't hear anyone say the words like, you got something wrong with you and rah rah. But I'm pretty grateful for the position I'm in and like the support we have around us.
I think that's a great segue to my next line of questioning. I want to ask about like equality in the space of footy. So how do you feel like, first of all, the disparities are between men's and women's footy? Like, what's the biggest disparity that you see? And then on top of that, I guess the follow-up from that is, sometimes I feel in basketball the biggest lack of support that we have is from our male counterparts. Like having enough NBL players coming to games, like it doesn't really happen. How do you feel like that is in footy?
Yeah, I found a Carlton, like, or I think at any club, like obviously I got a lot of mates play for other clubs. I feel like I'm not being biased or anything, but I think Essendon do an awesome job in terms of, it's not forced integration. It's like you walk through the hallway and they want to have a conversation with you. Like they want to be your mate and they want to get to know you as a person as well as someone that we play at the same club together, where I feel like recent experiences, like you might have a few boys come to your game, but it's kind of just that tick of the box. Like it looks good because, they've come to a game. Like, oh my God, like there's 7 boys in the crowd watching the girls today. How good does that look? And I feel like a lot of people do that with the tick of the box just so then it looks great on the club and looks great because, you know, AFL is supporting AFLW and vice versa, where I feel like it's come a long way. Like there's still a lot of work to do in terms of the boys. I feel they just sometimes they walk past the girls and they're like, what are we saying? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you say?
Just
like,
say hey.
Yeah,
like,
say hey. Like we're just people at the end of the day. And I think being in such a male-dominated space as well, like early on there, AFLW, it was like they didn't know how to deal with girls being at the football club because it was so new to them. But I think when the integration isn't forced and it's not tick of the box, like when you actually see them come to the game and want like give you feedback or they actually want to like, you know, talk to you, like it just makes it feel so good. Like I know that I speak to a fair few of the boys like outside of the club and it just makes me feel part of the club and I'm sure it makes them feel like we're all coming together as one. Like we had photo day yesterday and we all got a group photo and like the amount of people that were just hanging out like just casually was just awesome to see. But yeah, I think it's still coming a long way like in terms of just that tick of the box. Like, it looks good, like great, but it's just the want to do it is so important where I feel like it's not there yet. Like I'd go to an AFL game just because like I love watching football and I'd go to a men's basketball game because I like watching men's basketball as well. But it's like, do they feel the same when they come to watch a WNBL game or an AFLW game? And I think that's the difference. Like we don't do it to look good and tick
we
the
go
box.
because we want to watch.
We go because we want to watch and we want to support potential mates that are playing and I feel like it's still getting there in terms of they want to do the same and finding the happy medium, I guess.
No, for sure. And then I guess in like public perception, do you like have you ever felt that you're not respected as much as an athlete in that space or it's been kind of pretty equal for you?
I think like there's been times when you go like you might go like do an appearance or a show or something with a male player and there's obviously like you get a few comments from people like, nah, I don't watch AFLW, I don't watch women's sport. I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
good for you.
That's great. Like keep walking kind of thing. And I feel like you get a lot of those comments when like I find I get most of them if I'm with a male athlete where if I'm by myself, like I don't. But it's because there's someone that's apparently better than me standing next to me. You have to put me down. But I haven't had too many experiences. I've had a couple like that, but it's just like, well, I don't really take any of it on board because I'm like, oh well, like what are you doing that's so much better than me? Like, but I feel like there's a lot of there's a few experiences, but I think it's more if I'm doing something with a male athlete, it's like I have to be shamed because I'm female. And it's coming a long way in terms of like you look at the Matildas and the Aussie Diamonds and how awesome women in sport actually is and the impact that it's having on our country at the moment especially. There's still a lot of work to do because you got people at home that just think there's nothing better than to put a female athlete down.
Actually though, like it's actually so cliche because to think that I've had people comment on some of my photos on Instagram like, no, I'll get back in the kitchen. I was like, think of a better insult, man. Like be a little bit like original. Like come on.
It's not even fun. I actually don't find it funny at all. Not just because I'm like, you're an idiot. I'm just like, come on, like you're going to say something.
Like at least be smart about it.
Jeez.
Like come up with something just a little bit better. So what would you say to like the younger generation about dealing with or like maybe seeing the inequality in women's sport? Like what do you say to those younger girls that are looking up like, oh, I want to play at AFLW, it's amazing, but like, oh, am I going to be respected or am I going to, what do you say to that?
It's actually a good question. Like one of my friends has like a son that comes and watches like women's sport all the time and he just doesn't see any different. Like he doesn't see us as females who are playing sport. He goes and watches the soccer because he loves watching the soccer. He comes and watches AFLW because he loves watching AFLW. He goes and watches basketball because he loves watching basketball. And I think that just shows now that the generation coming up, like through school and stuff, like everything is so like female and male can both play football,
integrated,
can both play netball, can both play basketball, can both play tennis. Like everything is so integrated now where I think the only advice I'd give is just do what you want to do, really. Like, it's actually sounds cliche, but if you want to play basketball, you can do it. Like, if you want to play football, you can do it. And where growing up in primary school, like when we were in school, it was probably so different, where it's like
completely
you have that thought of, I probably can't now because I'm a girl, because there was no vision of it.
Yeah.
But now I think the education around like sport in general has just got so much better that a little girl doesn't need to think twice, I don't reckon, anymore. And that's what the beauty of it, like.
Yeah, the visibility.
Yeah, like it's just, you can see, like you can't be what you can't see.
Yeah.
And now they can see it. And I think that is just so exciting, because you don't have to have conversations with those younger kids that think, I'm not going to be able to do it because of who I am. And it's like, they can absolutely do it. And you almost don't have to give them that advice anymore. Yeah. Because they can see it. And like,
it's not
they
like
pick what pathway they want to take at the end of the day.
It's not like, oh, I can't do that because I'm a girl. It's like, I can do that because I'm a girl. Yeah. It's not because I'm anything. It's I'm doing that because I'm a girl, not I can't because. I mean, I really like that. Yeah. I want to ask you about your sister, the one who has the same name as me. Yeah. So does she play footy as well, or it's just your younger sister? Just my younger sister. Okay. My twin sister Annalie also. So weird speaking of Annalie, but speaking about Annalie. Yeah, she played like local footy when we were growing up. We played school footy for fun, but she was completely different. She competed for Australia for like sports aerobics. Cool. And then she was really into that up until she was about 13, 14, and then kind of gave that up and done dancing for a few years. And so we're complete opposite. Yeah. Like, we just, there's no flexibility in my body whatsoever. So aerobics and dancing was just not for me. I remember in primary school I tried out for like, I think it was like the grade 3 like aerobics team or something. And after the first session I was like, if there's a video of that somewhere, we'd love to see it. There's no video of it, but I was like, this is just not for me. And so everyone's just like, well, you just don't look the same, you just have no interest at all. But at the end of the day, we get on like a house on fire. Like, that's the most important part. And I think that's the best part. Like, we've had 2 different pathways in terms of our sporting thing, but we've gone through school together. Obviously, we do most things together. We share a birthday together. So, we get along on a house on fire. I mean, I always say to her, why didn't you just keep playing footy? Yeah. Like, I feel like you probably could have been playing in the AFLW. But no, dancing was for her, and she loved it. So we used to love going to watch like sports aerobics and doing the chants in the crowd. It was almost fun. And then my little sister obviously plays footy for Geelong Cats. So she's actually moved down to Geelong, and she loves it. Trying to, get in her ear about moving back. But no, she loves it. She loves the idea of going to the beach in the morning. So nice. Walking the dogs, and she set herself up down there, and I think she enjoys it. And when we verse each other, it's always good at the end of the day. Yeah, what is it like playing against her? Like, do you guys talk shit? Do you talk shit to each other? Like, we talk shit probably every day to each other anyway. Whether it's about football or not, like, we're always shit talking each other. But me and my little sister as well, like, we're really close, and I know that she leans on me a lot, especially because we know the demands of what position we're in. And we actually never versed each other till her first year in the AFLW when I was for real, like, at all. We never versed each other. So the first time we ever versed each other was at the highest level, and it was just so weird because we're just like, as if we're versing each other. Like, we'd always played juniors together, like not juniors, under 18s girls together, and on the same team. Yeah, on the same team. So you, like, actually at all, you never had played against each other unless it was like in the backyard. Yeah, like training, whatever, I guess, and we just throw each other around the backyard. And we were always competitive. Like, Dad would kick it to us, and we'd make sure one of us would win, obviously. But and then last season we didn't verse each other because she was a bit of a thug and got suspended. So she missed out on the game against me. But like this year, calculated. Calculated. Yeah. That's what I said to her. I was like, you did that because you didn't want to play against me. Yeah. But this year, I think will be the most special game we ever played against each other because it'll be my 50th and it'll be her like 25th game, and they're both like milestones in the AFLW. Yeah. So to do it against each other, which I also think is pretty calculated, I'm like, they've planned this. They've done that. So
Yeah, it'll only be our second time versing each other. So it's pretty crazy. Like,
it is. The timing of that.
Yeah, like it's just nuts. But I mean, I love going to watch her play, like supporting, like I'll wear a cat scarf if I have to just to support her. And
yeah, it burns when you put it on,
like,
surely. Like,
I remember
bit itchy.
we went to the Essendon Geelong men's game like a couple of weeks ago and stayed down in Geelong with her for the night and walking into the game and I was like, I reckon Essendon are a good chance tonight. Like,
yeah.
We're playing really well. The boys are doing really well, and we're just sitting in the crowd, and I'm surrounded by all these Cats supporters, obviously, and we've just had 7 goals kicked on us in the first quarter, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah,
And
this is not a great place to be sitting.
You just have a few comments like, oh, like, you know, the Cats, and I'm like, no. But no, it's pretty awesome.
Strong.
Like to have a sister in the same league as you, like, is pretty special. Obviously, we'd love to verse each other.
Yeah.
But I mean, play against each other. Well, play with each other. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, versing each other is always special because you've got all your family that come down and watch, and at the end of the day, they just want to see you have fun. So
yeah, so I guess like your career being super young, like literally it's just starting to, like, you could go really anywhere. Where, like, other than winning a championship, do you have any goals inside footy that you can think of, like, that you're really looking forward to, like your future goals? Or winning a championship is just like, that's it, that's the all-consuming one?
Yeah, I think winning a premiership is definitely up there. Obviously I'd love, you know, like you'd love to win, like from an individual side of things, like I'd love to win the Brownlow again.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to, but it's not something that drives me every day to get better. Like the thought of winning a premiership and doing something as a whole team just excites me. And I feel like the group that we've got at Essendon, like we're all pretty young. Like our average age, I reckon, is like 24, 25. Yeah. So it's such a good age, and the culture we're building there is pretty special. And to now be in the leadership group, I feel like I've got a lot to learn in terms of the way I help lead and the way I encourage people around me. So yeah, like I have a vision of hopefully one day being a captain of a footy club, but there's no shying away from wanting to win a premiership. Like my best mate plays for Melbourne and she won a premiership last year, and I went and watched her and supported her and celebrated with her like I'd just won it. But it's like I was just like, oh my God, like I'd love that to be us. And that kind of what drives me every day. So every time we're at the club, like we get the best out of ourselves. And like we're pretty bullish about making finals this year, and everyone's like, oh yeah, but you just came off your first season, like you're an expansion club. But no, we're not an expansion club anymore. Like we're here now. So we want to make finals this year and put pressure on those top teams, and if we win, we win.
What about outside of sport? Do you have any goals kind of in the outside? It doesn't have to be outside of sport, but outside of you playing, like what do you have anything that you're kind of looking forward to in those spaces?
Or people always say, like, would you see yourself being a coach or some sort of thing? But I don't know, like at 22, I mean, hopefully I got 10 years more, but I look at my head coach and I'm like, damn, you have the hardest job in the world. Like, I don't know how you do it. Like the stress that coaches have, I'm like, I don't think I'll ever coach.
No.
But then I say that now and it'll probably look different. But for me, like, I'm real passionate about, like, helping sort of people either, like, with disabilities or, like, youth work. Like, I'd love to work in the youth space in terms of, like, the juvenile centres and things like that. Like, I get a real thrill out of, like, helping those around me and putting a smile on someone's face. And I, like, would love to work in spaces like that, whether it's now or when I finish football. That's kind of to decide for itself and for me to think what's best for now. But I think having that balance outside of football is really important, and that's potentially the pathway I probably see myself going down.
I could see you being like a youth worker and bringing your dog with you to the youth spaces.
Yes. I was at the dog park like a few weeks ago, and someone like came with their dogs and we're having a chat, and she was just like, you should bring your dog like to like volunteer your dog. And I was like, for what?
Like to the hospitals.
Like, to the hospitals and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, true?
Yeah.
She gave me like this pamphlet and stuff, and I filled it out. And so I think it's like October they do the next like part of people they bring in, and I'm just like, I don't know if my dog has to be mature and like well behaved for this, but like he'll put a smile on people's faces, and I love to do that. Like and it's I love the whole idea of putting a smile on someone's face, and whether it's actually coaching younger kids and making them happy, or working with people outside of football, I think is pretty special because, a lot of people help me be happy, and I feel like if I can do that to other people, then
give back. It's the karma circle.
Yeah,
only good vibes in here. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move on to our rapid fire by Reebok fan questions. But first, before we do that, we have a gift for you. Reebok has a gift for you. So we've got a nice little hoodie tracky set, and we actually have some kicks as well. Oh, geez. Here, ready?
Thank you so much.
There's more.
Oh, gosh.
Here we go.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you. Jeez. Oh, there's more.
Yeah, and some socks.
Some socks. Thank you so much. Thanks.
So if you want to have a look at some of the kicks before we get started, they've decked you out with some gear.
Oh, these are cool as.
Yeah, dope, hey. Yeah.
I always look at them like, are my feet this small? Yeah. They definitely are. Oh, thank you so much.
You know, I almost wore that tracksuit set in today. It would have been great because then we could have been matching. You should have told me that's what we were giving her, because then we could have gotten a photo after in the matching set.
Oh, these are awesome. Thank you so much.
They're dope, hey.
Do you have these shoes too?
Not those ones. Nah, not those ones. I have got about 4 pairs of those ones though. Okay, are you ready for this rapid fire? It's not actually rapid fire, but it could be.
It's gonna be. So
talking about boxing, right? Would you ever get in the ring with Taylor Harris?
No. No. There was one time we were just hanging out, and we got home to her house, and she's like, here, put the gloves on. Like, let's go outside and let's, just like spar each other. I'm like, no, like, you think I'm stupid? Like,
I'll die.
Yeah. And I just remember we're just running around and just fooling around, and she just got me bang. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. You woke up a week later.
And I was like, nah, let's stop. I'm not doing this again. And then I just remember we got home one other night, and she's like, put my headgear on. I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm not a boxing bag. And I just remember standing there, and she's just like waiting to hear me, and I was like, no, don't hit me.
No, please don't hit me.
But nah, I don't think I ever would get into a ring with her. Like, I've watched her train. I've done drills inside of a ring with her before, and when you're in the ring, there is no running away. Like, you cannot escape. Like, a footy field's pretty big, like, you can run around. But a boxing ring is just like, it's tiny. Mm-hmm. And if you can only run to a certain amount of corners. Like, there's only 4 corners. And, she scares me when she boxes. And I don't think I'd ever want to be on her blacklist, and I don't think I'd ever want to be her opponent. Yeah. So I'll stick with being friends with her for as long as I can.
What about getting in the ring in general? Like, not with her, but just with anybody else?
Oh, I don't know. I've always said, like, I'm a bit like a lover, not a fighter. Like, but then I suppose it's the nature of the sport. Yeah. So, no, I don't think I ever would. I always thought maybe like wrestling or something.
Yeah.
But
bit of judo.
I just feel
bit of MMA.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know if I could. Like, I mean, I've only been doing it for a training purpose for the last 6 months or so, and I absolutely loved it because it's so different to football. Yeah. And I love the challenge of like learning something different. Mm-hmm. But yeah, watching like Taylor box, I'm just like, oh my God, I don't think I can ever move like that. And I don't know if someone punched me square in the nose, like, I don't know if I could just keep going. Yeah. Like, I'd probably like be like, oh, geez. Like, kind of face. Or think about, geez, what I look like right now. Like, so yeah, I'll stick to just standing on the outside of the ring and hitting the pads when I have to. Yeah. But at this stage, I don't think I'll be a boxer.
I have this theory that if I like ever got into a fight with anyone, I'd do what I did when I get in a fight with my brothers when I was younger, and that's lie on my back and just use my feet. And then if they try to run around me, you just like spin and like you're just kicking them. Like, that's in the street, you ever see me on my back? Someone's tried to get me, you know?
Kicking her legs around.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, it's probably a good thing you got some height then.
Yeah. Yeah, they're long.
Longer legs. Yeah. Mine are just pretty short and tacked. I don't really get much purchase on it if I kick someone.
I there's a lot of the circumference, you know. I got a lot of reach out. Anyway, moving on. If you weren't playing sport, what would your career be?
Geez, I don't know. Like, when you're actually in the sporting world, like, you're actually, I don't know what my life would look like. Because
It's a hard question.
Yeah. Look, when I was in school, I was probably like, I'd love to be a sports teacher.
Yeah.
So probably a teacher, but then in saying that, like, I haven't even gone to uni to do that course. So
it says what if.
Yeah,
so
I
like,
don't know.
You could say something outrageous, like an elephant instructor at a circus or something like. It doesn't need to be realistic at all.
Yeah, let's go with like elephant rides in Thailand or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
An instructor.
What I would be, I would want to be a professor at a university for art. Like I could teach people how to like pick apart artworks and like ancient artworks and then like modern.
Do you do art now?
Yes, I'm an artist. That's like one of my little side things. I have a degree in graphic design, but I really want it in visual arts. It's just much handier to do the graphic stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to be an art professor and like splash a piece of paint on a paper and come into class and be like, tell me what this feels like. Because I had a teacher that was like that and he like changed my life. So I was like, maybe something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to be like DJ maybe, like in a visa or something.
There you go.
That'd be cool. Actually,
in a visa. Yeah.
on par with like Dom Dollar or Fisher.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be my vision. Yeah.
Yeah. I could see it.
Yeah.
With these headphones on now, you totally got it.
Just like every time I put these headphones on, like I've got those Apple headphones.
Yeah.
When I put them on, I'm like, oh my God, like this would it like to be DJ, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like, so.
You're like Melbourne. Melbourne town. Anyway.
That's what me and my friends. It's actually funny you say that. Me and my friends are just like idiots together. But I remember Taylor brought a microphone once. And that was the exact sound.
Yep.
We were running around the house, jumping around, singing, and then we'd do the whole like $5 shots, Melbourne, $5 shots over here. And we would just start putting music on in the background.
Yep.
And,
Are you ready, Melbourne?
Are you ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd put on like some Jake Mandis Chemical Energy or Melbourne Sound and I'd be going. Anyway, moving on. Who are some of your idols?
Sam Kerr.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
you and the rest of the nation, I think.
Yeah, she's a superstar. One of the girls was like yesterday, you remind me of Sam Kerr, just like the way you look, the hair, and I'm like, I'd love
It's the biggest compliment.
Sam Kerr. Yeah,
that's the biggest compliment anyone's ever given me. Yeah.
I'm hoping to meet her one day, fingers crossed, like everyone else.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Sam. Like I think the way like she's presented herself as a female athlete, like it's just insane. Like I've got her bookers at home that I'm reading at the moment. So definitely her up there. Yeah, I don't know, like there's probably no idols within the AFLW because it wasn't around for so long, but I don't know, like obviously Lauren Jackson for basketball. It was like I went to that game when it was at John Cain Arena. Like just
that was wild, man.
Everyone was there for like the Lauren Jackson.
Yeah.
Like,
and then she injured herself.
Oh my God. I was actually saying the people I went with, I was just like, I hope she has an awesome game. Like, fingers crossed doesn't get injured. Yeah. The first like 10 seconds.
Why would you say it was you?
I'm like, shit, did I jinx her?
It was you. It was you.
But like just to be there and like the atmosphere of the game that day was just crazy. Like I don't know. There's so many people in women's sport, I feel that I'm just like, you're so good at what you do and you just set such a good example for people that want to be like you. And, like getting into the basketball last season, like there's so many girls in the competition. I was like, damn, like you're really good. Like, and then obviously watching the Matildas now. But Sam Kerr for me is probably my number one at the moment.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. So this question says, what drives you? I see a determination in the way you play. How did that come about? Or was that just kind of always you?
Yeah, always me, I reckon.
Yeah.
I feel like, I've always had a good head on my shoulders in terms of just being determined.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you got to work so hard. I feel like once upon a time, like as a female anyway, you have to work so hard to make something of yourself in a sporting world. So I feel like I've always been determined to make something of myself. And whether it's in sport, in football for a long period of time, or it's just in life, it's just like I want to kick ass in life. And I'm pretty determined to do that.
Yeah. That's a great answer. And then This asks what your favorite holiday destination is.
Oh, well, I've never been overseas until this off season. I went to Thailand for the first time.
Yeah.
So,
are you going to say Thailand just because that's the only place you've been?
I haven't been overseas anywhere else. So probably Thailand if it was overseas, obviously. But I'd love to go to Greece. Love to go to America and do all like the sports over in America.
Yeah.
And then I'd love to go to like Chelsea and all that to go watch like the Matildas play for their like league over there. So I got a lot on the bucket list.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I only just got my passport like the end of last year. And went to Thailand and I thought it was so cool because I was like, oh yes, like got my passport now.
She's a world traveller.
Can plan all these trips.
You've got one stamp in your passport.
Yeah.
Look at you go.
That's literally what I was like. I was like, wow, I've just got one stamp. But people like when my friends are like, oh yeah, you've got a passport. Like, where have you been? I'm like, nowhere really.
Yeah,
just Thailand.
Yeah.
So definitely got a few things on my bucket list for after the season. And hopefully a few more stamps by this time next year.
For sure. I would say the coolest sporting stadium.
Like you've been everywhere.
I've been a lot of places.
Yeah.
the
Every
coolest,
basketball I've spoken to, they're like, Vinny there. I'm
because most of our junior tournaments like are in Europe, right? So like under 17s, we'd go to like Italy for a pre-tournament, then Spain for the major tournament, and then maybe on the way home we'd play like friendly matches in the Czech Republic.
Just stop by somewhere.
Yeah, literally, like because it takes so long to get over there. So while we're over there, we just do it.
How did you deal with all the travel? Like,
look, I think when I was a junior, it was like the most exciting thing ever. Now being a little bit older, it's harder now because like, I mean, we're gypsies. Like literally, like I think that in this last 12 months, I've been to and from America 3 times. I've been to Vienna. I've been to China. I've been to Singapore. I've been to some other European country that now my brain's not registering. But between that, both me and my partner, because we both play professional sport, she's also done all of that. Plus, she's gone to Israel for some other world championship stuff. Jesus. So like, it's the travel. Yeah, the travel is a lot, but like, it's like you have to accept it as a part of what you're doing.
Yeah,
and it makes the off time that we do get. So like this week and next week we have off. And that's like such a nice downtime because then after that, she goes to Spain, I'm going to go with her, and then I go back through China, and then I go to Perth. So the way the travel and stuff, it's like it's not for everyone. That's why a lot of people opt out doing national team stuff now because they need like the stability of being in one place. Maybe I'll get there later in my career, maybe. But at the moment, I'm like, heck yeah, I'll go wherever. Like, take me, like we were just in China for a weekend and everyone's like, are you really going to go for like 3 days? I was like, yeah, I mean.
Absolutely.
Why not? Yeah, I think it's great. And seeing all these different things. And I would imagine it would be the same. Like, imagine if like, and I still reckon it's going to get there. Like AFL, Aussie Rules football, it's at some point it's going to infiltrate other parts of the world. It just has to.
Well, I feel like it'd be so like, once upon a time they'd play games against like New Zealand and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to get there one day.
Yeah.
It won't probably go crazy internationally. Yeah. But like the more people you get from there's heaps of girls from New Zealand that play in AFLW. There's a few Americans now. Like it's just like you never know. I know. Really never know.
Well, this is what I mean is like I know like you got Celtic football and then like sometimes like NFL players, like the kickers come over and play. Like I actually feel like the moment it would be the same like if Aussie Rules infiltrated America and Europe, you guys would end up traveling over there to play games.
I mean, it'd be pretty cool.
It would be dope, right? And then it would all be like a different style. We can only hope, I imagine. But no one does it as good as the Aussies. Anyway, I digress. Next question.
So you play for Perth now?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I just signed to Perth.
I was going to say, you didn't play first last season.
No, I was with Bendigo. I've been with Bendigo the last 2 years. And then I just, changed the scenery.
How'd you find the drive down the Calder Freeway?
Oh,
tiring.
Exhausting. Exhausting. I mean, I got so good at it that I just chuck on a podcast and then go. But it's just, I mean, like I still got my place up in Bendigo. Yeah. And like when my partner and I were back for this 2 weeks, we were like, oh, we could go stay up in Bendigo. And we're like, nah.
Nah.
Nah. Like loved it up there. It was great. But like, I'm happy that I now Melbourne-based for these 2 weeks and then to be on the beach.
Yeah.
That'd be
Whereabouts in
nice.
Perth? You?
Don't know yet. I've requested Scarborough.
Yeah.
I've requested Scarborough.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't done a lot of exploring of Perth. So I feel like I'm gonna have a field day of just like going to different beaches and stuff because I surf.
What is that island everyone speaks about?
Rottnest. Yeah. The smiling rats.
The smiling rats, yes. What are they actually called again? The smiling...
Quackers.
I don't know,
Quackers? Yeah, quackers.
I find it so funny when people show me photos they've had with them. I'm like,
they're literally smiling. Yeah, I was like, surely it's just the way they look. But no, they're smiling. They've got the little smirk on their face. They're just oversized rodents, really, but like cute that they're happy with little cheeks and everything.
No, Perth will be nice. I love when we play in Perth.
Yeah.
We're playing in Perth next weekend for a practice match. So that'll be
nice.
I mean, we're not really there for a holiday. Like, we're kind of in there on the Saturday, home on the Sunday night.
Yeah. But, it's got good coffee around there. Are you a coffee drinker?
Yeah.
What's your best coffee spot in Melbourne? Are you going to plug a spot?
Oh, geez, a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that is a lot of pressure, actually. Because I would say Essendon and Eltham is my spot. Not really Melbourne, but...
Yeah. I can't really say I've had too much coffee over that side of town. Jeez.
I know. I think maybe that's the hardest.
St. Rose in Essendon.
St. Rose?
Or Racing Warehouse in Airport West. It's also good.
How is it that we've been talking for this whole time and that's the hardest question?
Yeah. Because
that's the hardest question.
Like, where have I had coffee lately? But,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't have a coffee and be like, oh, that's so shit.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I might be like, tastes
yeah. Yeah.
I'll still keep drinking it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll still keep drinking it because I'm like,
for the bean juice.
Yeah,
get it done.
Finish it. But I'm pretty good. Like anywhere I go, like has pretty good coffee. But the one in Eltham, I feel like I've heard it, but I haven't really been there.
Shout out Essendon. That's the best spot ever. Okay, last 2 questions. Tell us something about you that people wouldn't know, like a fun party trick or just something completely random.
I did ballet when I was like 2 or 3. I tried ballet.
That doesn't suit after the way you just described the fact that you can't touch your toes. Doesn't fit.
I remember like we just were in this dance hall, me and my twin sister, and I didn't have a long career in dancing. I stopped pretty quickly. Like I do remember the first couple sessions and then that was it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dope.
No photos. I have no photos.
That was my next question. You know what? I'm sure that if you asked your parents, they'd have something like that.
No, my mum is so bad with photos. Like she only just downloaded Facebook like a couple years ago, and now she like takes a lot of photos and whatever. But I swear she never used to take photos. Like it'd be like, "Mum, take photos." She'd be like, "Oh, I don't know how to take good photos."
Yeah.
I'm like, don't use that as an excuse. You know how to take good photos.
Come on.
But no, there was no dancing photos because it just probably wasn't long enough to have any photos.
Or maybe they were thinking, she probably doesn't want to see this when she's on.
No, that's probably also right.
Yeah, they were protecting you.
Yeah.
Okay, the last thing I want to ask is that something that we usually kind of wrap up on. Like, how do you think other people see you versus who you actually are? Like, how does that compare? Yeah, it's a big one.
I don't know. Look, I think people see me literally how I see myself.
Yeah.
Like I think people just see this like bubbly, bright person.
Yeah.
But then obviously like that's the only side they see. Like they wouldn't see like through social media. I probably wouldn't be posting like when I'm sad. Like, hey guys, like I'm sad today. Whereas like they probably always see the happy version of me. And the one that's outgoing, hanging out with my mates all the time, like playing football. Obviously, where. I think, they truly see me for that. But then, like everyone, like no one sees, when you're struggling the most or something like that. Yeah. So I truly believe that, I believe that people see me as just a happy, bright person and, someone that's pretty easy to get along with.
Yeah, see you for who you are, I would say.
Much. Yeah.
Sometimes there's a gap there where you're like, I play super aggressive, so I'm like, people might think I'm crazy. So I swear I'm not that crazy. Like maybe a little bit, but not that far.
I know. I always think about that. Like when I watch when I went to a few basketball games last year and watch people, I'm like, damn, you don't look like you'd be aggressive. Yeah. But I'm just like,
it's like white line fever. You have it in footy too. Yeah. Right? Like it's super nice, and then you step on the field and you're like
the way people like box out and like get the rebounds and stuff. I'm like, Geez, that was a bit aggressive. But yeah, I suppose like that's the same, like the white line fever. Like once you step on the court or step over the white line on the field, like no one's your friend.
Nah.
But then after the game, it's so funny. Like I think it's so great when you watch female sport. Like that's probably the difference with female and male sport. Like after the game, like everyone goes and shakes a hand, gives a hug, like has a good chat.
One big community.
Like, then once you walk out of the locker room, like you might walk into the car park, just catch up afterwards. And I think that's the beauty of our like the way we include everyone in sport. And it's just like they are your friends at the end of the day. Like they're not your arch rivals.
Exactly.
On the field they might be, but and I think that's what's so special about like you go to a game and you just like they go as hard as they can at each other, but then afterwards like everyone's mates and you're like, do you just like go at each other like 10 minutes ago? Like
I think that's it's a real big thing in female sport because we spend so much time trying to convince other people of our value and trying to convince other people of our worth in the sport that we need to be great at supporting each other off the court as well. Like on the court, let's actually kill each other. But off the court, like you're supposed to be friends and support each other and just be like, it's all about building each other up, right? Because we spend enough time trying to convince other people that we're worth what we're worth. So like in the sport, like being able to finish a game and like going into, the car park and actually like chatting with the girls or like, I mean, a lot of the time there's a lot less people on a basketball team, but like we all know each other. And I imagine it would be the same with footy. Like you, at the end of the day, you're all under the one banner that is female sport. Like you really are. So there's no point like just, I mean, evil eyes and you can hold a bit of a grudge, but not for that long. Come on.
Nah. I'm so like that. Like on the field, like I'll want to beat you. But then once the final siren goes, like I'm just like, all right, like let's go hang out. Like, and I think, that's what the beauty of watching our female sport is. Like it's just so nice. Like it's friendly, but it's also so hard. Like everyone wants to kill each other.
Literally.
And sometimes I'm like, oh no. Like, but, oh well.
Yeah, no, vibes. Last thing I'll say is like when Marina and I play against each other, she
always, how do you go with that?
Well, she always is like, she always makes jokes. And I'm the most serious person in the world. And it just gets under my skin. I'm like, this gets, but then she always ends up making me giggle because like we'll be standing across each other on the foul line and she'll say something that she'll know will make me laugh. And I'm just like trying to keep a straight face and like that forced smile.
The game
like,
face?
Shut up. Like, stop it. And we literally beat each other up during games. And as soon as it's done, it's done. It's just how it is. It's pretty great. Anyway, to wrap this all up, I just wanted to say thank you for coming on. This was great.
That's right.
I really enjoyed it. I think that trying for me, being able to talk to not just basketball players, but all athletes, like we all experience the same stuff. Like it might be on a different type of floor, different shape of ball, but it's all like the competitive spirit, the way that we have to handle stuff as athletes, as high performing people. Like there's a lot of cross coding in that. Like it really does overlap. Like, and everyone's story is slightly different, but we all have more to share than just what we show on the field. It's pretty awesome. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been awesome.
When you play down here, we'll have to come back.
Yeah, we've got to get you a Lynx jersey. Yeah,
give me a Lynx jersey. Well, it's red and black. Perfect. No Corey's wearing that.
No, exactly. That works perfectly. So thank you again. That was Under the Surface with your host, Annalene Maley, and this was episode 16 with Maddy Prespakis.
Thanks for having me.